Brian Cutler Actor Studio is located in beautiful downtown Burbank. I've been a working actor, singer, musician since I was 5 years old, and I'm pushing 80, so that's a long frickin' time. I've been very blessed. I know that. I'm very thankful. Thank you, thank you, thank you to all the gods that be, uh, because I've never had to work in my life at a job. The studio just celebrated its 30th anniversary. I'm happy to say, and we were just voted the best in Burbank, which makes me very proud of my team and all of our students because we got a lot of working actors. Um, I started this studio 30 years ago, and the reason I started it, I was working, I had signed a contract at a repertory company, one of the best in the country, and I had a couple of buddies that were teaching acting for theater. It was in Kansas City, but there was nobody teaching acting for film. Let's back up a little bit. I was introduced to Charles Conrad in 1970, Charles Eric Conrad, who in my opinion was the best acting coach in LA for a long time. He had hundreds of students in our master class. Some of the people in the master class were Kim Basinger, Michelle Pfeiffer, Carl Weathers, who was a dear friend, may he rest in peace. Wonderful guy, wonderful actor, wonderful athlete, a really lovely human being. Just to name a few, Mark Harmon, Kelly Harmon, Mark's sister, Joe Penny, Chris O'Connor, uh, a lot of really great actors were in that master class. I didn't want to study acting. I'd been a working actor for a long time, and a good friend of mine named Frank Ashmore, who is now a wonderful character actor, introduced me to Charles. I saw what he did and had to study there because what he did was so different from any other acting studio that I've ever seen. And it's the process that I teach now because Charles passed the baton to me, and it was a blessing. Charles was not only my acting coach for 12 years, he became my friend and mentor for 40. And we stayed in touch until he passed away about 12, 14 years ago now. And when he semi-retired from LA, moved to Sedona, I'd go and visit. And then when he and his wife moved to North Carolina, I'd go there and visit with Jill, my business partner, because she had family there. But everybody talks about a particular process, method, technique. You've got to do as an actor what works for you. I heard Christian Bale say the other day that everybody thinks he's a method actor, method actor. He said he changes his process for every role he does. And I think that's one of the foundations of being a good working actor. If you look at actors like Gene Hackman, Gary Oldman, Meryl Streep, they don't have just one path that they follow. The important thing that whether it's Lee Strasberg or Stella Adler or Sanford Meisner or Charles Conrad, the one thing that all of them have in common is for you to be totally relaxed in what you're doing. If you're working hard, people see it. Audiences are very smart. Unfortunately, the way the studio system has gone over the last 30 years is it's run by financial people and lawyers, and the creativity part has been taken out. The bankers and lawyers don't think people are smart. Audiences are very smart. Audiences see and believe what the truth is. Charles' process allows you to work moment by moment and impulse by impulse. And that's what we teach at our studio. I teach you how to not act, but to be a working actor. A lot of people, if you ask 100,000 actors in LA or bartenders or servers, because that's where most of the actors are working, and we need them, so keep up the good work. Uh, if you ask them, do you want to be a working actor or a star? They would all say star. I don't know what that means. I don't know what being a star means. I was a TV star for about 5 years. It gets in the way of your life. You can't go anywhere. You can't do anything. You can't get on a plane. You know, you think Oprah Winfrey wanted to buy a multi-million-dollar jet and travel privately for, I don't know, $37,000 an hour or whatever it is. It's ridiculous. No, she couldn't travel publicly anymore, so she had to buy her own plane. So working actor is the key. Charles process, Charles Eric Conrad, that's Erich, the old German way, because he was a first generation German. His belief was to allow yourself to learn to trust the body, to recapture your insouciance, which is the childlike ability that all of us have until about the age of 12 or 13. And then a well-meaning teacher or relative or parent or aunt or uncle or older brother or sister kicks it the hell out of us. And how dare they? Because that's the creative part of our body, of our humanness, that allows us to be creative. You know, they ask Carl Sandburg and Mark Twain, how do you write such beautiful things? They say, I don't write it, I don't think about it. It comes to me in the night. Insouciance, the ability to believe, trust your muse, and allow that to work for you. We are 1 degree of separation from Sanford Meisner, if that means anything to you. Charles Conrad was Sanford's right arm in New York for a long time, moved, allergies, moved out to LA to work for 20th Century Fox. I studied and worked and trained with Charles for 12 years. Then he was my friend and mentor for 40. A blessing, I must say, a real blessing that I am eternally grateful for. I teach his process, which allows you to not act, but to be a working actor. And that's the key. You know, I ask people all the time, do you know who Danny Houston is? Or do you know who Paul Guilfoyle is? Or do you know who Vincent D'Onofrio is? And most people don't. And these guys have been working nonstop for over 40 years. You know, yeah, they know all the big names, but they don't know all the supporting actors that make the other actors look good. Go ahead, be one of those actors. You know, James Gandolfini was one of those actors for a long, long, long time till he got The Sopranos. And his breakout film was True Romance with Christian Slater and Patricia Arquette. One of the most violent beating scenes I've ever seen in my life, but boy, it just kicked him up the charts. So, you know, we all have to start somewhere. But one of the things you have to do if you want to be a working actor or a filmmaker or a producer or a cinematographer or a makeup artist or anything else in this industry, you've got to be a long distance runner. You cannot be a sprinter. If you're a sprinter, please stay home. Please. Don't even get on the bus or plane and come out here. You know, there's a big housing community that's been bought by, I think, Avalon. It used to be Oakwood. And when we used to have a pilot season here, which we really don't have anymore because there are too many outlets, but actors, mothers used to bring their kids out here, and actors would come out in pairs or groups, and they had studio apartments up to 2, 3-bedroom homes at Oakwood. And at Oakwood, people used to come for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days to become a star, to become a working actor. Trust me, it just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. The average overnight success in LA, Chicago, New York, and Nashville is 10 to 15 years. Adrian Brody's dad told him when he was leaving New York to move out to LA to do film work, it's going to take you at least 15 years. And Adrian Brody called his dad on the 19th year and said, Dad, you were wrong. It took me 19 years. But if you have the testiclicity, that means balls, to stick with it and be a marathoner, then it'll pay off. As long as you work on your craft, study your craft, learn your craft, because your craft will support you when your knees won't. And above anything else, there are 658 acting studios in LA. Take your pick. I'd be real careful, though, about where you study. It should be somebody that understands this industry. It should be somebody that's been a working actor, director, or film coach, or worked with a film coach that really understands acting and not acting and overacting. You should be with a studio that has cameras. You want to learn to act for the camera? Learning to act for the camera without a camera is like learning to ride a horse without a horse. You cannot do it, people. You have to have cameras in your acting class and not a little teeny iPhone that shoots a two-shot, You've got to have cameras. You've got to have an editing system. You've got to have original material. If I give you material, all the material we have at our studio is original material. Why? Because if I give you a scene to do that you've seen your favorite actor do, whoever that is, and you've seen them do it on a TV show or a movie or a limited series, you're going to try to do it the way they did it. You can't help it. It's imprinted on your brain. Brian, call this the eye gate. And the eye gate takes in 70,000 images a second. So if you've seen something and you like it, what do you normally do?
You
Watch it again,
watch it again.
which imprints it even more. So if I give you something that you've seen on TV or in a movie, you're going to try to do it. You're going to emulate or copy what the actor that you like did. Can't do that at our studio because all the material's original. We shoot every class, whether it's audition style, cold reading, or what we like to call sight reading, or whether it's final scene work. We shoot every class. And Jill, my business partner, Jill Morehouse, takes every weekend and edits all that footage and sends it to our actors for free. I don't know of a studio in the city or anywhere that does that. She spends an inordinate amount of time sending you that material, not so that you can constructively destroy what you're watching. I do not believe in constructive criticism. I think it's an oxymoron. I don't think you can build something up and tear it down at the same time. But we do all have the ability to analyze, to critique, to evaluate, to see if you have any energy leaks. Those are things that I call tapping your foot while you're talking, running your fingers through your hair, twisting your hair, licking your lips a lot, punctuating with your eyebrows. We shoot everything ECU, extreme close-up, and the reason we do that is this is what you're selling. The rest of your body could look like Jabba the Hutt, but this is what you're selling, because there are a lot of actors that don't have gorgeous bodies. People that are young think, oh, if I have a six-pack, or I've got long blonde hair, or I'm built like an hourglass, that's going to make me a star. It might help. It might not. Can you be uncomfortably comfortable on camera? That's the key. Can you be relaxed? Can you do what James Cagney said in the 30s? Learn your words, hit your mark, look the other person in the eye, tell the truth. That's how simple it is. Not easy, but simple.
Right. And a lot of actors, they say it's best to start in Georgia right now because of Netflix and what's going on over there. Then when they have a good substantial resume, they move to LA or maybe New York. What do you think about that?
I think an actor wants to act. And if you live in Georgia or have family in Georgia, or it's a good base for you to work from, great. But there are a lot of cities, for years, New Orleans they did like, when Jamie Foxx did Ray, they did like 130 feature films in Louisiana that year. Everything is cyclic, Right now, Georgia may be the place to work. I know that there are some gorgeous studio facilities in Georgia that are wonderful. Tyler Perry has one of the most beautiful studios in the world, and he just put an $800 million expansion on hold because of AI, artificial intelligence. So he's reevaluating some stuff down there. I stayed in the Midwest for longer than I planned on being there because I had a 2-year contract at one of the best repertory companies in the country that turned into a 14-year contract. So the question I ask my actors is, if you're an actor, what do you want to do? Act. You want to act. So if you can get work in Georgia, great. The film capital of the world is still LA. There's a lot of other places that shoot. New Mexico shoots a lot of stuff. Louisiana is still shooting stuff. Georgia shoots stuff. Michigan shoots a lot of stuff. Vancouver shoots a lot of stuff. Austin shoots a lot of stuff. You know, it depends on where you're comfortable. It's very expensive to live in LA. So if you don't have your life together and you don't have a little nest egg stashed away, maybe Georgia's a place to start. I don't know. I was born and raised 8 blocks from my studio here in Burbank. I love LA. I'm an LA boy. I've always been an LA boy. I've had a blessed career. I've worked all over the world, but my home base has always been LA. You want to be an actor in LA, you've got to have a life. Get your life in order first. You know, don't live at the beach. I know the beach is beautiful. I love the beach. I surfed for 30 years. We spent a tremendous amount of time at the beach. But if you live at the beach, guys, it's going to cost you a lot more than living in the city. Okay, so I know it's bougie, but I wouldn't live there. Find out the areas in LA that are reasonable to live in. And I'm not talking about the boonies. I'm not talking about living 2 hours away from LA. There are plenty of areas in Burbank, North Hollywood, Glendale, Pasadena, where you can live comfortably and affordably. But first of all, Angelina Jolie said, you want to be an actor? Get your life in order first. So I don't know what that means for each individual. If you can get a job, a 9-to-5 job, where your boss knows you're an actor and you're going to have to miss some time for auditions and stuff, that's the best of both worlds.
That's a tough one, though, right?
It's a tough one. It's a very tough one. So then you have to do what most people in the entertainment business do, and that's be a bartender or a server. And most of them work nights, so your days are free to audition. But then if you get booked on something, you have the challenge of getting off work for the time to work and shoot whatever it is you're doing. I don't know what the best path is. As I said earlier, I've been blessed. I've been a working actor since I was 5, so I've never had to deal with that. I have some my students that are freelance writers. They write. I have some that are freelance editors. They edit. If you can do a job that gives you more flexibility than having a 9-to-5 job, more power to you. You know, that's the best of all the worlds. But if you're going to move to LA and you don't have about $50,000 in the bank, I wouldn't move.
50.
Yeah. I used to say 25.
Okay.
But I have a former actor student who is now a big casting director who, when she first moved out here several years ago, called me up and said, don't tell people 25, tell them 50. And maybe it's more than that now. I don't know. But, you know, be penny wise and pound foolish. You know, don't get a big fancy place somewhere. Get a place that you can share with someone else. Get a 2-bedroom place. Share the place. Have an economical car. Don't live too far from the studios. That's why I say don't live at the beach. Don't live in Santa Clarita. You know, within 10 minutes of our studio in Burbank is Nickelodeon, Disney, DreamWorks. You've got all the major studios within 10 minutes of our studio in Burbank. So anywhere you can live within a 5 or 10 mile radius is perfect. It's ideal. And there's some very reasonable places in North Hollywood. Burbank's a little pricey because all the studios are here and everybody wants to live in Burbank. I love Burbank, you know. So.
And they still have to work on, you know, their own material, like shooting short movies and.
Yeah, I think that there are more outlets today than there ever have been, And so when I first started acting in LA, there were 6 outlets. There was ABC, NBC, CBS, KTTV 11, and KTLA 5, and what is it? The educational broadcasting channel. You know, that's all there was. Now there are thousands of outlets. So now's the best time to be an actor because of those outlets. But yeah, if you're going to do student films, I highly recommend, UCLA Film School, SC Film School, Loyola Marymount Film School. There are several others, but concentrate on people that are working on their master's thesis. The junior actors, not that they're not learning, they are. And who knows, some of them may end up being the next Steven Spielberg or Martin Scorsese. I don't know. But the money that the master's students get is much, much bigger than the undergraduates. And the equipment that they have $400,000 red cameras. They have all the lighting equipment that you want. They'll have a better story. So you'll get better footage. So yeah, student films are a plus plus. Doing little independent things, doing things on your own. I forget who I just heard say this, some big star. I don't know if it was Paul Giamatti or one of those really well-established actors. Do it yourself. You know, you can shoot a feature film now. I was just talking to our tech guy here at the studio this morning because we just upgraded all of our editing equipment. And he said that a big, really well-known, he didn't mention the name of the film, otherwise I'd mention it, was shot on the new iPhone. A full-length feature was shot on the iPhone. So no excuse for not being able to shoot a little scene or some footage or something, get it out. You should have a website. You should have all your ducks in a row on Actors Access, casting networks. There's a whole series of things that we teach our actors they need to have in order for them to be working actors. You know, you can't depend on your agent. Your agent is one outlet. And please, as an actor, would you please remember that you hire your agent? They don't hire you. Because if they hired you, they'd make 90%, you'd make 10%. Unless you're with a non-union agent, then they take 20%. Managers, everyone wants to know, should I have an agent or a manager or both? I've never had a manager. I had a public relations person for about a year. It cost me a fortune, didn't do me any good. So I've always had agents. I've always been blessed to be with really, really good agents. I was with ICM for many, 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 many years. I don't pursue acting anymore. If I get a call for something, I'd be happy to do it. But it's not at the top of my priority list. My priority now is to take what I was taught by Charles Conrad and teach that to actors that are committed, dedicated to their craft and want to learn to be working actors.
Okay, and talking about managers and agents, some people they say any agent is better than not having an agent. Do you agree with that?
I don't think so. I don't think there's so many outlets now for you to self-submit that I think learning how to, and we're doing a special seminar coming up here in a month on how to do your self-tapes. Most actors don't know how to do a self-tape. So we teach Bonnie Gillespie's a good friend of the studio. She has a wonderful, wonderful book called Self-Management for Actors. It's the only book in the industry I recommend because it is so full of helpful, useful knowledge for anyone that wants to be in the industry, but particularly actors. Self-submit and keep doing it. I have an actor that did 40 huge jobs, big, big jobs, including a co-starring role in a feature film by self-submitting last year, 40 big jobs, but he self-submitted 800 times. You do the math. No, I don't think it's better to have any old agent than to have a good agent. And we also have an agency and management accelerator program at the studio where we help our dedicated actors, actors that are really serious about their craft, get with a top agent, preferably, excuse me, preferably an agent rather than a manager, because an agent can negotiate rates for you and things like that. A manager can't. There are pros and cons to both. So I'm not saying one's better than the other, but you've got to be prepared. You've got to have your pictures. You got to have your resume. You've got to have your actors access profile. You've got to have your actor slate. You've got to have all those things before you even approach an agent, because otherwise you're not going to be prepared. So why would they want to represent you?
Exactly. Yeah. That was my next question. What, the actors, they have to look at an agent, or what attracts, agents to hire you, or they want to, bring you
Well,
on.
there are a lot. I'm a unionist. I've always been a unionist. At one point, I was in, pardon me, 12 different acting unions, because years ago, before SAG and AFTRA merged, there was one for video and audio, and then there was SAG for film and television. And then there's AGVA, the American Guild of Variety Artists. I performed in Vegas with a very successful singing group, and that's AGVA. AGMA is for opera, the American Guild of Musical Artists. A Local 47 is the union for musicians. So there are many, 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 many unions. And a lot of agents don't want you to be represented by a union because right now, especially in commercials, there's an awful lot of non-union commercial work. But I am a unionist. I picketed with the writers before the actors went on strike. I then picketed with the actors, and unfortunately, the IATSE is up for new contracts this June. And if hopefully they don't have to go on strike, but if they do, I'll be walking the picket line with them. So I firmly believe in being with a SAG franchised agent. I know there's some people that don't believe that. A SAG franchised agent is somebody that's had to put up a very large cash bond and agrees to abide by all the rules and regulations of SAG-AFTRA. That makes it safer for you to be a working actor.
And what about casting director workshops? Are you for it, against it?
I think casting director workshops are a conflict of interest. I think if you're a casting director, you should be a casting director. And I think the union feels the same way. Casting directors around the country, a lot of them were fined and or given prison time because the government felt, according to my information, that there was a conflict of interest because a lot of people were paying for casting workshops in the hopes that being in front of the casting director would get them cast in something, and that was not necessarily the case. So I think that there are some legitimate casting things that go on. The Screen Actors Guild and AFTRA do some wonderful workshops that if you're a member of the union or SAG eligible, I believe you can attend these functions. A lot of them are online. A lot of them are free. Some, I think, maybe they have to charge for. I'm not sure. But I'm not a firm believer in casting director workshops. I have a student that did one, got his girlfriend to do one. It was like $1,400 and nothing. So be careful. Money is very easy to spend in LA. And as P.T. Barnum said, there's a sucker born every minute. So investigate, whether it's a talent agent or a manager or a casting director. Everything's on the IMDb these days. You can find anything you want on the internet, anything about anybody, even if they're trying to stay hidden. So be a student of your craft and do some research. Find out about the people that you may or may not be doing business with. See if they're of value and if they're legitimate and honest, and go from there.
All right. And just a couple more questions.
Sure.
Um, what do you think about AI? Because a lot of people, like including myself, I don't have a lot of information about AI. So is it
Yeah.
going to be good for the actors, or is it a threat for the actors or the industry as a whole?
Well, I think AI is dangerous. And I think when three of the people that were front runners in the development of AI say, in retrospect, be very careful of what's happening with AI, I think we all better take a look at that. I'm not sure that we have to worry about the Terminator at this point in our lives. Maybe someday. I mean, if you look at manufacturing and look what robots have done to manufacturing, thousands of workers were put out of work because of robots. When CGI came in and animation came in, and the two of them merged together. I remember when Sean Connery did a movie as the voice of a dragon. Everybody thought, oh, that's it. Everything's going to be done AI. It'll never happen in my lifetime, maybe in yours. So be aware of it. Be advised. Look, if Tyler Perry, who's one of the sharpest men in the film industry, who built apartments during COVID for his crew and his actors to live in, so they didn't have to worry about being in the public to keep all of his shows on the air, I think that's pretty shrewd. But he just was going to do an $800 million expansion at his studio, which is absolutely gorgeous. If you've never seen it, it's a sight to behold. But he was going to do, coming up in the very, very near future, an $800 million expansion, and put it on hold right now because of all the information that his research team found about AI. And he said the industry, not just actors, but cinematographers, makeup artists, uh, anything to do with the industry, editors better take a long look at AI, because it's going to put a lot of people in the biz out of biz. And yeah, it should make you worry. It should make you take a second look. One of the reasons that SAG-AFTRA spent so much time on strike was because of the area of artificial intelligence, and the producers being only interested in money, unfortunately, and the studios and the streamers didn't really care about how long they lost money. They wouldn't even look at AI. And it wasn't until it was a forced issue and we got it on the table. We did not get everything we wanted at SAG-AFTRA with AI, but we at least got it on the boards. It's on the boards. It cannot be dismissed ever again. So I think you should be concerned as a cinematographer, as a director, as an editor, as an actor, anything to do in the business, be concerned with artificial intelligence, because if there's a way for producers to save money, make more money at the expense of the talent and the creative people that make their industry run, they'll do it.
Okay. And is there anything you would like to add?
No, I'd like to thank Mike for inviting me to do this. Anything that we can do at our studio, Brian Cutler Actors Studio in beautiful downtown Burbank. You have any questions? We've got a great team here. I could not run this studio without the team I have. That would be Jill Morehouse, John Keating, Kai Abner, David Kirk, Abigail Stanton, CMS, that stands for Christopher Matthew Spencer, and Ramiro Leal, and Dahlia Neiman. We could not do what we do here. We put out a tremendous product. We have tons of actors working in all kinds. I just got a message this morning that one of our actors got a principal role in a new AT&T national commercial. We got people working everywhere, doing leads in movies, co-starring roles in movies, small parts, bit parts. Our objective here is to help you become a working actor, understand the business, and have a successful, joyous, prosperous, happy life.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Sounds good. So thank you, Brian.
Thanks, Mike.
Appreciate
Have
it.
a blessed day.
Thank you. You too.
Okay.